well-meaning adults tell you, oh, don't chase the boys, leave the boys where they are, get that education, get that career, and then you're looking back like, where's his husband? Where are these children? So it makes it seem like you made a bad choice, but that's not the case because it's just not your season. It doesn't matter how old you are, it just may not be your time yet.
So actually, absolutely, G, we're going to do that. G is someone that I worked with. I've had the pleasure and the privilege of meeting at Myron Golden's Offer Mastery Live last week. It's all about relationships, and that's what here at Purpose and Powerful Podcast we talk about relationships mainly. But he and I have met. We've locker room coached, fought, boxed. I mean, we've done it all. Prayed, shared scriptures, coached each other, and here we are with the less than, I would say, 72 hours easily. So we both have transformations in our mindset, our hearts, and just supporting each other. And that's what it's all about. So today, though, we're talking about that topic about broke, and I'm gonna let Erica lead with that. But we're just happy to see you because it's been about, I'd say, almost 2 months that we've gone live, and we appreciate all of our listeners and viewers for always supporting us. But now we're back and we're ready. So you're in for a great treat, and let's go.
So, broke and single, what's remaining for your good years? Or what's next for your remaining good years? So, where this comes from, and welcome to our show tonight, is like myself, I'm educated, I'm successful, I have, degrees and all those things. And so, when you grow up and you have well-meaning adults tell you, oh, don't chase the boys, leave the boys where they are, get that education, get that career, and then you're looking back like, where's his husband? Where are these children? So it makes it seem like you made a bad choice, but that's not the case because it's just not your season. Now, to add balance to that, right, is it's what, where you are mature wise in your life. Like, do you have, or have you been a part of toxic relationships? All of those things, like, have you grown and healed in different places as you've navigated different relationships? But again, it doesn't matter how old you are, it just may not be your time yet. So that's where we're going to start it off. Now, Jurbil, I know you are chomping at the bit. Help us single, successful, beautiful ladies out there on positioning where men the same age can look at you as a viable prospect in the midst of younger ladies that aren't educated, that are not successful.
Okay, thanks. What are you asking me to say? What I
give the ladies, the successful single ladies that are still waiting for their husband or their guy and their future, being a future wife, being a future mother, they made a great choice. It doesn't matter. I mean, you made those choices before, right? Because there was to position you so you could become the woman that you wanted to become. And now you're looking around and no one's chasing after you. 20s, everyone's chasing after you. They want a piece of the action. They want you to, be booed up with them. Well, the older you get, that pool becomes just a tad bit smaller, and you become a little bit wiser with the prospects and, what you're looking to be found by.
Well, I would say three things to come to my mind if I were going to talk to the ladies, and I will also lean on Gregory and Thomas, who are married men, happily married, and
yay,
yep, they're happily. That's heard that, but it's 3 words that come to my mind that all begin with an S, and the third one will end with that. The first one is a woman being still. I think that women a lot of times jump back and forth. They're all over the place, chasing certain things or pretending like they're still and run somewhere and just fall and think that everything is going to come to them. So I'd say be still and listen to God and be obedient and just be patient. The second thing is a woman has to, as you're seeing a lot of this quote unquote eye candy, which can get you rotten teeth for men. And we don't really need that distraction. So I would highly recommend that a woman comes with a mindset of substance first. So she's still, and she provides substance. That's because that's the helpmate piece. Man needs helpmate, not just to be distracted. And if she's still, she's not all over the place. So she'll have him help him to be grounded, but she has to be still to do that. And the third piece, when she's still, so she's grounded, she comes with substance. Then now she comes with the support.
Ooh.
Because she knows who she is and she can support him. And that is that true helpmate fit. I didn't say a perfect person, but starting with those 3 S's. And when you put all of that together and you're consistent, it builds trust and you end up with success. That's the true success, because a lot of women are looking at the degrees, the money and all of that. That's not true success, because in the end, you're lonely. You're going to bed with a teddy bear, and that's not fun.
So I'm just going to ask this question. What does still mean?
Staying still. When I say stillness, more figure the word, not running around. A lot of women, they're going on these trips. They're going all over the place, looking to be found. They're going to the mall. They want to be seen, and they're just going. You would just see them, and they're showcasing themselves. They're not still. So I mean, staying still to get that thinking time and that download time for God to really find out their true purpose. And if they do that, that also means to be consistent, Thomas. Being consistent. So that's what I mean by still. You're jumping from one thing to another to be seen. It's just it.
So I'm gonna take what you said and I'm gonna put another word.
Sure.
There. Be secure in yourself.
Woo, secure. I love that. Secure.
You have I don't forget which writer said, "To thy own self be true."
That's in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
It's in the Bible, but there's a writer that said the same thing. The Bible don't say it actually like that. It says know that. Well, actually, Ralph Waldo Emerson says know thyself, trust thyself. But you have to be. My dad always told me this. You first have to have a life to live, a goal to reach, and a God to serve. That life to live and a goal to reach means that you first have to know yourself and trust in God to know that you know what God has for your life. Mm. You might not know your purpose, but you know your worth.
Yeah. You guys are heavy hitters tonight. I love it.
Purpose is something that we grow into. Our worth is something that we have to own. And many times that's both men and women. We are so busy because our parents, our boyfriends, our girlfriends have told us we're worth nothing. We might have had a bad back. We might have had a baby while we were coming up. We might have been, the ugly duckling. We might have been, the skinny guy on the block. We might have made all kind of bad choices. And so the first thing you have to do is know thyself, understand thyself, understand the worth that you have. One of the things that I ask a lot of people when I go out to eat is, and this is waiters, and Erica has witnessed this, how much do I owe you for your service?
Tell me more.
And they say, well, whatever you want to give me. I say, so how much do you think your service to me and my family, or me and my wife tonight, is worth? And they said, well, whatever you give me, because, we don't supposed to ask that question. I said, I didn't ask, nobody told you that. I asked you how much you were worth. I've only had one person tell me, what did she tell me, baby? $100. She told me my service to you tonight was worth $100. Get what she got?
$100.
$100.
Why is that, Thomas?
Because she understood her worth. She walked in, and I have to course people to say, okay, so how much did you come in here with? How much did you come in here expecting to make? And they say, well, I don't know. You don't know how much you came expecting to make in life. What are you expecting to get? if you don't know what you're getting, if you don't have an idea of what you want, how in the world can you think about what you're going to get?
Mm, mm, mm.
You know, it's just like we always talk about we want Boaz, right?
Mhm.
Boaz has a whole bunch of brothers. Broke, Poe, and you can add ass on the end of each one of them. But the whole point is we're looking for
Ass.
when you if you don't know the prefix to what your end results is, how in the world are you going to get a whole sentence or a whole word? Because if you got the ass part, what you going to do with the broke and the tied and the pole and all of that?
Mm.
Because you're never going to get the Boaz because you never put a definition around it.
Mhm.
And when you're walking into a relationship and you don't know who you are,
That part.
you don't know what you want, you don't know what your end state is, and only thing you're doing is a guessing game, well, what do you expect?
Mm.
And that's on both sides.
That's right.
May I expand on that, or can I get
Sure, you
Okay,
can
go
expand.
ahead, please.
Do you
Go
need
ahead.
anything?
I
We'll
feel
just-
like you're about to bring it full circle. I don't want to interrupt your flow. So if you were done there and you were dropping the mic, I'll pick it up. But if you're not,
Pick it
I'll
up, brother.
keep
Pick it
going.
up. Because
Yeah, pick it up.
I can always come back and pick up your
'Cause
mic.
it's a cipher. We're doing a little bit.
Okay.
And we'll,
Let's do a cipher. Okay, so you said if they don't know who they are and where they're going, they won't know where they're going or what they're getting. And I'm paraphrasing because I cannot preach as Thomas preaches, but I can tell you this: you said it's the same on both sides.
Yes. So when I was a kid, my English teacher had me read an essay called Self-Reliance.
Mm-hmm.
And self-reliance came, this is the first paragraph of self-reliance, and I'll say it. There comes a time in every man's education when he arrives at the conviction that envy is ignorance, that imitation is suicide, that a man must take himself for better or for worse as his portion, as though no kernel of nourishing good shall come to you, but through that toil which is placed on that ground which is given to you to till. And he says,
So
trust thyself. Every heart hums to this still strain. Trust the creator of thy youth. And I'll leave it there because what that says is if you don't do anything with the ground that is given to you, which is your life, if you have not planted anything in your life to grow something, what fruit are you looking for?
what type of fruit?
Yeah,
I'm gonna pick up the cipher right here. I'm gonna pick up the cipher right here.
Go ahead,
Well,
Julian.
hold on. Let me say this, and I'll let you say it. What he said was, so what I'm saying is, God has planted seeds in all our lives.
Okay.
All of us have a ground that's been planted with bad seeds. We got weeds, we got rocks, we got stones. Life has given them to us.
Okay.
Life has given us bad things, and life has given us great things. But many times the stones outweigh the plants and the seeds that are growing in our lives. And so with that, we don't want to get rid of the rocks and the stones. We don't want to get rid of and see the things that we don't want to see the good ground because we are so focused on the big rock that's sitting in the middle of it that we can't see everything around it. We make ourselves islands and we put everything in an island. And that island is I go back to what I tell my people. What is an island? An island is a body that is surrounded by water. And life. But if you do the big eye thing, take a deep look down into the water. What is the island attached to? Ground. So if you take away all of the water, you have a long, tall, still thing a long, tall piece of earth that's sitting up above water. It's still attached to ground. But in our lives, by the time we get to be 21, 25, 30, And the older we get, the bigger those islands become, and we do not find ourselves because we'll put ourselves in this big island that is hurt, pain, as Erica has said, careers, and all of these things that keeps us from seeing people for where they are or meeting them where they at. Because that's what Christ did for us. He meet us where we are and then take us to where we're supposed to be.
Let me pick it up right here. Let me pick it up. Let me pick it up. All right. All right.
Just keep it.
Everybody tracking?
Yes, we're tracking. We're gonna give everybody.
We're tracking. Say aye. Come off mute. Say aye. We tracking?
Aye.
Following Thomas, right? Okay. He said he takes us from where we are. I need you to do it with me. Left hand out. He's taking us from where we are. He's taking us to where we want to be. And in this, we find out how do we bridge the gap. Come on, clap with me. He's taking us from where we are to where we want to be. And then we figure out how are we bridging this gap. And great design is silent, right? You don't notice good design. Good design is everywhere, and it does one of two things. It does one thing, 2 words. What are those 2 words? When something is designed very well, it does what? It does something. It's 2 words. I'll let y'all marinate on this. Drop it in the chat if you have to. Kiara.
Does it solve problems?
It is solve problems. That is the first time I've ever done this that someone got it on the first try. It solves problems.
I was
Now,
going to say that.
All right.
He was going to say that. And DJ, hold please. You said it comes on both sides, right? Both sides have to bring a full person to the table. How many of you know that 50% and 50% of 2 wholes do not equal 100% of 1 whole?
It doesn't.
You know that?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we say it's half and half, I bring half, you bring half. Now you got 2 half as Boaz people, but you don't have a whole. You don't have a whole.
Mm-mm.
You got a hole in your heart. You got a hole in your purpose. You've got a hole in where you're supposed to be, and you've got a hole in one mess. Am I lying or am I lying? Don't lie. I can't lie. My daddy don't lie. I do what my daddy says. We can't lie. All right. So.
Well, we can. We just don't like the benefits.
Yeah, exactly. There's just consequences. You can do whatever you want. You just got to be willing to suffer consequences. Right. Okay. So with that said, we have to bring our whole self. And how do we bring our whole selves?
Come on, preacher.
Life is designed. We live our lives by design rather than by default. We set the tone. You said you set the waypoint. Did you not, Thomas? We set the waypoint of where we want to be, because if we hop in a boat, we don't know where we're going. Where are we going? Right? 1 degree on a journey in a boat or an airplane is a big offset, right? You can end up crashing, be a mess. But if I set a waypoint and I know where I'm going, look, okay, let me scale it back. We're not even going to finish that one. That's another story for another podcast. You'll have to tune in for that one.
That's
So
right.
stay tuned. I'm going to take it even simpler. We're going to do peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Simple.
Make you fat.
It make it the facts. If I am in Austin, Texas, and I need to get to Houston, Texas, but I tell you I'm in Dallas, Texas, will I get the directions I need? Yes or no? If I'm in Austin and I need to get to Houston, but the person I ask directions to, I tell them I'm in Dallas, am I going to get to Houston?
No.
Probably eventually, right? Because then I'll realize, oh wait, Dallas is up here and Houston's down here, but they're not going to tell me the right thing. They're going to tell me to hop on 35 from Dallas, and I'm going to be like, all right, so I'll hop on 35 from Houston. Then they're going to tell me to pass all these landmarks that don't exist. Why is that?
Well, see, it depends.
Okay. I'm going to entertain this.
So,
Thomas, if guests want to join the podcast, they are welcome to.
I'm trying to get her.
Come on, girl. Come on.
Get on in here.
Everybody everybody that wants her on the podcast, show of hands, come off mute, say aye.
Come on.
Aye.
Oh, everybody wants you on the podcast.
Oh no.
So this is Evangelist Arrington, who has a degree, has a master's in pastoral counseling and working on a doctorate in
We'll let her tell it. We'll
personal
let her tell it.
development.
Come on,
But
come on. Bring
I'm trying
her.
to, everybody wants you on, baby. I'm sorry. I was trying
What
to
can
keep
I
you
We'll
off.
do?
be on in a few. We'll be
Look,
on.
Here you go right here. I
she
already got a seat
is-
warmed up.
and Jabril, thank you for providing this, or let's see, it's Jabril and Erica for providing this platform. She is about to set off on her journey of taking this from the schools to application, from knowledge to wisdom, from knowing to knowing.
And doing.
And you get an you get it. Oh, look at this beautiful face. Do you see this glow? Hello. What is your name, young lady?
Deborah,
Deborah. Welcome, Deborah.
thank you.
Evangelist Arrington, I am ready to be swept off of my feet. Can you promise me that you'll do that for me?
No, I will
No.
not. I don't make promises.
Okay, I love this. She is a woman of her word, and she makes sure that her word is impeccable, so she does not falter. Okay.
All right, we're gonna have to do some arranging here while we're talking.
In the meantime, you continue. I want to hear from Ciara. She got the $1 million question right.
May I introduce Kira?
Please.
Kira is an emotional regulation coach. Oh, I'm not doing her justice. She is the emotions coach on Instagram. You can follow her at __ Kiara Nicole.
Impressive.
And I definitely guarantee that you will get a transformation that you were not expecting, because you ask, what do emotions have to do with anything? What's love got to do? Everything, absolutely everything. And I will tell you that I was there to witness the day that Kiara came alive. Her voice started to belt out of her. She came up from her deep thoughts at the Millionaire Roundtable, and she said, I know who I am. I know my purpose, and she's here to share it with us. I'm so glad that you joined us, Kira.
Thank you.
Yes. And
So happy to be here.
And her accent is impeccable. I love her accent.
Manchester from the UK in the house.
Right, that's right. The international tonight, baby.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's so good to be here. So
Yes.
nice to be with you all. What shall I share on? Give me some theme.
Well,
Go
just
ahead.
go ahead, Erica. You hit
Oh,
her.
so we're talking about broken single. So we are talking to ladies 40 and over who have decided to dedicate, to their careers. They've dedicated themselves to their education and gaining the success, but now they're looking back at the dating landscape and it doesn't quite yield the fruits of their labor they thought it would. The dating pool is very small for the man, the Boaz, whoever they're looking, because they still want to be a mother. They still want to be a wife. And now it's like, oh, am I looking back at this and regret? No, that's feelings, which is great that you're the emotional coach, but it's just turning the emotional side to say, look, I made a great decision, but now I'm going to have to pivot how I do my next steps forward, because it's not about feelings, it's about facts and action now, right? So just kind of giving motivation, if you will, to the women out there that says, there's nothing wrong with your decision making. It's just you matured, and so now you need to be looking to be found by someone that matches that same commitment and energy.
Hey Sierra, before you go, before you take off, I know you're getting ready to. I'm just gonna call it the prejudice card here. Prejudice card, from a sense of, she wants to talk about women, but there are plenty of single men that have done the same thing and have sacrificed their career for the love of their life. So I'm just calling prejudice card here.
It's not. We got our episode lined up for the men.
It's about the men.
We're just helping the ladies tonight.
You understand, for the men out there that does this too.
It's funny you mention that, because at this table that Gregory just spoke of, somebody asked me that question actually, of like, why only women? Men need this work just as much as well to learn to regulate their emotions. So I totally hear you on that point. And yeah, I'm kind of in contemplation at the moment as to my audience, whether I'm going to open that out, because it was a new layer of awareness that I'd not really thought about in that way before. For me, when it comes to decisions and looking back on the past, there's no mistakes if there was a lesson gained from that experience. So in my understanding, if I can transform loss into lessons or pain into purpose, suffering into strength, then I am unstoppable, essentially. So I think it's about the perspective and the frame that you choose to put around the experience. Equally, in terms of the emotional side of things, I think it's really about sitting with any discomfort that comes up and acknowledging that maybe I did make a decision that wasn't necessarily in alignment with where I am now or where I wanted to go. And that's okay. And the discomfort of that emotionally carries a lesson, carries an insight. But when we're avoiding emotions or trying to exaggerate or escape or repress or suppress, that's when we miss the insight that the emotion can carry. So I'd say in response to what you said, Erica, about these women, I would say it's about having a combination of creating a more empowering mindset of the past in order to shape the present. And it's about feeling our way through discomfort on that journey, so that we can come to the insights. Like in terms of reframing the past, I often say my dad passing away was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I can say that with full confidence and truth because it totally transformed my life. Of course, at the time, I wasn't in that experience saying this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. But with perspective and having transformed and transmuted those experiences, now I can see that was exactly what I needed to put me on my purpose path. And I find that so inspiring because if we can always transform those past experiences and find the lessons, there is literally nothing you can't do. Because every life experience, bring it on. Like the more challenging, the better, because I'm going to transform that baby into purpose. And I think that perspective for me has been one of the most empowering things of like, let's go life. Whatever you throw my way, I'm going to run with it. I'm going to work with it and I'm going to transform through it.
Amen. And I'm just gonna say this. I have a problem with Christians, and I say that I have a problem because, I say, "Are you a Christian?" They say, "Yes, I'm a Christian." And I say, "Okay, great." Then I said, "So do you believe that all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord and are called according to their purpose?" And then they say, "Yeah, I believe that." Then I say, "Okay, so how can this be so bad? If all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord and called according to his purpose, then that means that no matter how bad this is, there is goodness in it. But we have to see the goodness." Then I turn around and say, "You drink arsenic, you drink a lot of it, arsenic will kill you. But if you drink a little bit of it, arsenic will heal you." So if it didn't kill you, then it must be there to either build you, heal you, or take you to another place where you can get or prepare you for your future. And many times, we always take the baby daddy syndrome. We take, this bad job syndrome. We take, oh, I had a bad childhood, or anything that happened to us negative, but we don't look at it from the point of, this could grow me if I take it in the right way, if I receive it in the right way. If I take this, I was talking to a woman the other day, and she was sitting there talking about, actually, I'll leave her alone. But I was sitting the other day, and I was talking, and as I was talking, this person was talking about how this relationship had destroyed her. And I was like, "How did it destroy you, baby?" I said it just like that to you. I did. And they were sitting there like, "Well, how did she put that?" She was like, "Well, they took my, I was alone. They took, I don't have nowhere to, how did they, because they made it an emotional thing, just like you're saying. They made it emotional from a sense of, I put all my trust in them and all of that. And I said, do you have your house? She said, yes. I said, do you still have your job? She says, yes. I said, do you still have your money? She says, yes. I said, what else did he take from you? She said, well, I got all of that. I said, so what you're missing, what you have left, I said, the only thing he hurt was your feelings. I said, so he hurt your feelings. He took your joy away. He left you a little bit insecure because you were dependent on this man to be your everything. Instead of letting God be your everything, let man be who he's supposed to be, your friend, your companion, your brother or whatever, but you made him your everything. But God left you with everything, and the only thing hurt are your emotions and your feelings. So what's the problem? They looked at me like I was crazy. But I'm like, God allowed you to walk away with everything that you had, and now you know what you want in a man. You understand what was better for you. But then I had the same conversation with a brother. Now, the brother was different because he had given this lady a house, he had given her cars, he had put her in a house, she had went and wrecked all his junk, she had destroyed he had bought stuff that now he had to pay for. And now he's sitting there like, man, I'm like, dude, you still got your job? Yeah, I still got my job. Do you still have your mind? Yeah, I still have your mind. Do you have your insanity? Yeah, I have my insanity. Man, she took it, almost took it. And I'm like, but you still got the peace. You have enough sense to come and talk to me. So you still have everything that God gave you. Yeah, you can make more money because it wasn't like, I mean, the guy's making $250,000 a year. Okay. And he's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they looked at that, but out of that, I told them, I said, you've learned, you have your life, you understand what kind of women you don't want to deal with and what you shouldn't be dealing with. You have not lost your friends. You have everything that you can rebuild. You can still, it happened for your good. At least you weren't married to her before she went crazy. But he took it as a negative. But many times we take these bad experiences as negatives when they are positives, because they grow into our future. Okay, I'm stopping.
All right, so this is what I'm gonna do moving forward. I appreciate it, Thomas, and everyone. We want to give everyone a moment, so it'll be maybe 1 or 2 minutes because we want to keep it flowing for everyone and keep the energy going. I know that we're going to have many podcasts to come because we're live again. So stay tuned next week, and I'll let you know about that week. So hopefully everyone could show up next week, June 2nd. But go ahead, Sarah, and thank you for that, Thomas.
Am I unmuted? You can hear me.
Okay, here you go.
Yeah, so a couple of things I wanted to add in. First one, the perspective shift in the example that we were just talking about, that you were just sharing, Thomas, is it's not possible for anyone to take anything from me. And I think if we can really, like, he took my joy, he took my happiness, he took my self-worth. No, because that's not possible. What's a more empowering perspective, in my opinion, is I gave him, or I gave away my power, I gave away my joy, I gave away my security. Now, that's difficult to sit with, like I said before, the uncomfortable feelings. However, it's extremely empowering because if I gave it away, it was mine in the first place. So that, I think, is such an important distinction to stay in an empowered place. Nobody can take anything from me. Like everyone, someone could lock me up and take my physical possessions, they could torture my body, but you cannot take my freedom. Nobody can take anything from me. That's not possible. 2, in terms of emotional turmoil in relationship, what has been an absolute game changer for me in my own relationship is to understand that all emotional turmoil in a relationship is a reflection of childhood experiences that are unintegrated, without exception. So whatever's happening in your relationship is mirroring unintegrated, basically undigested, unfelt childhood experiences. That doesn't mean we need to go digging through cognitive therapy, although that can be really useful, but that just gets us to the story and the who, what, where, when, how. But in order to really complete that cycle and release that emotional turmoil, it's necessary to feel your way through it. So really feel into that discomfort in the moment that it's happening. Instead, what we tend to do is, oh, he took she did this, I don't have because of that person. But if we could see the relationship as a mirror, although it's uncomfortable to be confronted with that which is limiting and is reactive. But the word reaction is reaction. So when you react, it's a repeated action because it's happened before in childhood. That's where it's from. If it's not your partner, they're just a mirror. We can see that they are a mirror. They can show us, yeah, this is what needs to be worked on. And then it's a gift. That's my 2 minutes.
I mean, that is
Oh, okay.
so awesome. I love it. A few things that you said I think are so key and critical and important to understand is your past is in your rearview mirror, right? You don't drive your car looking at your rearview mirror to see how to move forward. And it's just best to acknowledge that, right? And then take time to heal and grow, learn, and then move forward, not carrying it with you so that it's like, woe is me, but more of like, okay, that's in my power reservoir. That's my testimony. It's the power when I get to feeling like I want to throw myself a pity party. Now I can put myself up over. I got past that, and that was traumatic for me. But you know what? That's not the thing that's going to hurt me in the future. But what it can do is show me how I've grown through the process and how much strength I can still, obtain. Because the things that knock you down, just much like your father, you lost your father, and I'm so sorry about that. It's the most beautiful things are the things that come from tragedy. Even the most powerful things are birthed from tragedy. And so no one reflects about as much, I don't spend as much time explaining about the tragedy as much as people pay attention to the story, the result of what occurred after. Well, after you got back up, this is what happened next. So it's the power of today and reflecting on tomorrow. And I think that is why it's so challenging, because society keeps sending you these signals. Are you supposed to have a kid by this age? You're supposed to be married by now. And you're supposed to have this and you're supposed to have that, instead of taking stock and inventory of what you actually already have. Like Thomas alluded to, the young lady had all of her possessions. It was her feelings. But unfortunately, emotions comprise about 95% of the actions that we actually make. So that's how we live our lives. So it's more of turning those feelings into something more productive and saying, hey, yeah, today I'm feeling like I wish I was married, or at this time we would have been here. But the reality is, and I always do this for myself personally, is I could still be, I've been divorced 13 years, right? So I could still be married right now, but I promise you, I would have probably not been half the places around the world that I have. I probably wouldn't have the career at the level that I have it now. And I wouldn't have the success either to go along with it, because that is a compromise, being in a relationship, being under so many different nuances that you have to consistently evaluate and sacrifice in order to get to your next. And I'm like, well, the Lord is not done with me yet. And that's why we have what's best or what's next for your good remaining years, because you're still here. That's an opportunity to grow and move forward.
This is beautiful. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What brought up the topic today?
So where I begin on it is, there is a male podcast or male show, and they stitched in a video, a TikTok video of a young lady saying, she wished her parents were telling her, she said, if I realized that the dating options were what they would be today, I would not have chased that degree. She said, I could have skipped a couple classes. I could have failed a couple classes, and I would be married with 2.5 kids right now. And it's like, that's the evaluation of all the success. So she said, they were like, get that degree. The boys will come later. They'll be there, So she said, now I'm broke and single with my high class education. And I'm like, well, there are few other decisions that you made to be sitting in this particular position. It's like what Kira said and what Thomas said. If you think about that, it is not anyone's fault that your life is in the position that it is. There's a set of circumstances that led you to where you are today. And again, you have to just stop and evaluate those things and say, okay, accountability. My fault in this is this. I chose him. That's what I said at the end of my marriage. It was like, God didn't give me this man, but he used the experience and the lessons from that relationship. But I chose him. He's not going to be with me for the rest of my life, but I chose him. So how do I position and move myself forward? I literally prayed about it. I was like, okay, what were the things that made me who I was before I even end up in this marriage? Those were the things, the tools, the pieces, the power that I need to go back and pick up so I could go forward knowing that I was always who I was. I had molded my identity into this particular situation. And now I am disconnecting myself, bringing myself back for an identity I never had to let go of, and moving forward saying, okay, I'm going to take accountability for where I was in this, but that is not my future. This is in the rearview mirror.
Now, how may I ask another question before
Sure.
Kira? Sorry, just my follow-up. I'm gonna ask you to remember when you opened this podcast how you felt as you were halfway reading from your script. I don't mean to call you out, but I will do it if it is necessary to bring you to your purpose. Are you okay with that? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Notice the difference between when you opened up the podcast thinking that you had to be something that you thought that everyone else needed from you. And then when I asked you what the root was, what brought this topic up, and you started trying to come from your head, and then you couldn't help but sink to your heart, and then your passion came out, and then you came alive. And did everyone else see that? Raise a hand if you saw it.
Yeah.
You saw that. Did you see that, Erica?
Or did you feel that?
Did you?
But that's why.
Yeah, he took
But
it right
that's
out of
why
my.
the unique position that I am in is because all those years of experiences, and because I spend so much time with women, these are the challenges they face, but they come to it emotionally, and there is no accountability.
What outcome can you offer these women?
I am the result of someone who's done the work, and I continue to do the work. The outcome is a transformed self that can power through adversity.
I felt that.
Me too.
Whew. Kira, I apologize.
No problem. You can tell I'm the English one. I keep putting my hand up. So polite.
Wow. Oh.
No, sorry, not to call anyone else not polite, but just like, excuse me, can I talk?
Isn't that what who was it? Daniel Priestley said? He's like,
Exactly. Yeah. Hello. May I chip in? So I just wanted to, I'm not going to say just, I wanted to add in a framework because I feel as though we are speaking to the women who are struggling, and it's good to be called out and empowered of like your responsibility for your circumstances. But I'd also like to offer like a tangible framework that could help them through that discomfort as well, not to be like, it's your fault and bye. So the framework would be, of course, that's what we're saying. The framework that has totally transformed my own relationship and life, but specifically relationship, because I've always struggled with very big emotions, hence why I've become an emotions coach, and I've learned to regulate and contain them. So the 4-part framework is to be used in the moment that you're experiencing overwhelming emotion. Step 1 is recognize. So learning to recognize that you've become triggered, you've become reactive, and that would largely be found through bodily sensation and breath. So noticing, is my heart racing? Are my palms sweating? Have I started to think a lot quicker? Is my mind racing? So looking out for signals that you've come into a reactive place. Step 1. Step 2 is regulate. So immediately as you recognize, okay, I'm in a heightened state. Step 1 is always to calm the nervous system, because nothing valuable is going to come of trying to make sense or reflect or take action when you're in a triggered state. The connection between your prefrontal cortex, your seat of reason, and the limbic brain at the back of the body, your amygdala, back of the body, back of the brain, that is temporarily shut down when you're triggered. So it literally can't communicate. So there's no point in trying to, take logical steps in that moment. Calm yourself down. Breath work, in my opinion, is the most effective way to do that. So steady breaths, counting the breaths in, counting the breaths out, whatever works for you in that moment. Step 3, when you're calmed down, and only when you're calmed down, reflect. So reflecting what actually happened there, what led to me becoming reactive, what triggered it, what facilitated it, what pushed my buttons, and how would I like to act differently next time? If this situation occurs again, how am I going to course correct? What would I do differently next time? And then step 4, final step, is respond. So after you've recognized you were triggered or activated, you have regulated yourself back to a state of calm, you've reflected on what went wrong or what went off course, then it's time to take action. That might look having a difficult conversation, might look like removing something from your schedule, it might look like removing somebody from your life. But whatever that step is, it's best to do it once you've been through the previous three steps, so you can do that in alignment with where you're at and not from a place of reaction, repeated action from childhood. So you're in the present, not the past. That's the framework.
Excellent. Talk to us,
I
Jurbil.
just want to encourage our guests. I just want to encourage our guests. If you have not grabbed a pen and paper yet, you should have, and you should run this back and share it with someone that can benefit from all of these golden nuggets. These are reflections from the Millionaire Roundtables that we've been in. And you should be taking notes if you want to elevate your vibration to be at that $1 million frequency. That's all I have.
Right. Thank you so
Short
much.
and sweet.
It's good. This is really, it feels like there's about 30 people in this room. The brain power, the spirit, the transformation, the energy, as the $1 Million Man always leads to. It's just amazing. It's amazing energy, and we're just feeding off each other. So,
I'm raising my hand. I just can't figure out how to raise it in the chat.
It's okay. It's okay.
Go ahead, because I was just about to say something, but I'll let you two, and then I'm going to wrap us all up. So go ahead.
All right, sir.
There she is.
There she is.
Okay. I've been sitting back and I've been listening. And one of the things that for me, it's a perspective of how you look at things. Okay. Especially Erica, when you were talking about how this young lady was saying how she did all these different things. And what she did, though, is she was preparing herself. And I'm going to go back to my faith. God is preparing us for this very moment, this very place. And it's how we are made to look at how he has prepared us. Okay, my husband mentioned good. Everything that we've gone through in our life to this point is good. But society has made us to believe that it's bad. And so if we take on what society tells us, we think, oh man, I've made mistakes, I've done this. And I like what Kiara said, they can't take anything from us. The truth is, we give it. And we not only give it, but we allow them to take it. But if I don't allow you to get me upset, you can't get me upset. So the whole thing is our perspective on the whole thing. It's your mindset. In this day and age, we have to change our mindset. And when we start seeing it from that particular perspective, especially one of the things I like to say is, let me see it from God's eyes. You see it from God's eyes, it's all good. We don't like it. It hurts us. But what is he trying to show us? What is he trying to teach us in that moment? If we have a bad relationship, what is he trying to tell you? You know the song, God is trying to tell you something? Every time we go through something, he's trying to tell us something. He's trying to show us something. So, broken, poor, single, God wants you broken, poor, and single right now. because he's trying to get you to the point that maybe somewhere down the line you won't be single. But he's preparing you for that moment, because at the same time he's preparing you, he's preparing that man who's going to come into your life.
Right.
And so he's going to have you, you are going to be prepared to be able to interact with him at that moment. But right now, you're not prepared and he's not prepared for the relationship.
Mm.
So it's your mindset.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much.
Amen. Pastor Arrington.
Awesome.
I'll let you wrap this up, Jurbil. I could keep it going. Oh my goodness.
Definitely could. But that's why we have another day. We have another week. Why don't you join us live next Sunday, June 2nd, for another episode, but it's going to be better and stronger. And he helped me when he left. Remember, everything works for the good, as Thomas said. And we know this, but do we really show this, and do we really act and operate? It's easy to read a scripture, or it's really easy to take notes, but it's more of a challenge to take action. And that is where we will peel that and really get deep into ourselves. And I caution you for these next 7 days. All of this sounds good and feels good, but let's see how we act and respond this whole week. And share this with other people. Maybe we'll have even more people next week and grow. We all grow together and learn together and heal our hearts and help the others heal their hearts and not be a victim, to be victorious. Erica, this is what it's all about. We couldn't have designed this better because this is not our design. I've just met Kira and Tom, and the $1 million man. That's what I call him, the $1 million man. And it's not just money, it's millions of dollars in so many areas. And as you could see, the gift that he has, because it's not his, you're not that brilliant, brother. That's God. It's clearly. So I just thank you, God, for you coming on. It's been a pleasure meeting both of you. And then also Madam Arrington, she just came out of nowhere and just rose up and ended this song. Just tell them what you have to say, because we look forward to seeing everyone next week as well, so we can continue this.
Definitely. Thank you guys so much. You made podcast gold here on the Purpose and Powerful podcast. So join us next week at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Time for Better and Stronger. He helped you when he left. It's time to heal, grow, and embrace a future filled with hope and new beginnings. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.